You speak about regulating the capitalists because what the capitalists naturally do, which is cutthroat competition, um, does not work well without a regulating body. But how do you regulate um, the capitalists without having a central set of laws that are enforced by a central body that sees to it that those laws are enforced? If there are just laws in place and it's up to the individual companies to follow those laws or not, and there's no punishment or reward for breaking or following the laws, then most of the companies will not follow the laws, right? Because it's in their self-interest not to do so. You need the rules set up, and um, you need a body or bodies to enforce the laws. And how else can you do that um, um, uh, than by having a central authority, a um, a government? I mean, how can you do that? They're not going to regulate themselves. If you say, oh, you're not allowed to steal ideas from each other, you're not allowed to kill each other. Fine. Some people might just say that, oh, I'm going to follow these laws because they're just and good. But the problem is that there's always a bastard out there that's going to say, well, I don't give a shit. There's a nice idea there. I'm going to take that one. Oh, this guy has a lot of money. I'm going to kill him and take his money. It's human nature. You cannot get away from human nature. And without a body to enforce the laws being followed, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have cutthroat capitalism. I cannot understand how you can say that, oh, we have to destroy government and that everybody can live peacefully together by themselves. No, they can't. I mean, look at the capitalist. Look at the free market. The free market is centered around growth. It needs to grow to stay alive. It's exactly like a biological system, like an ecosystem. An ecosystem continuously need to grow to stay alive. And a species reproduces all the time to stay alive. And the analogy doesn't end there because a species has to be adapted to its environment to survive, and so does a market company or a entity within the free market has to have to adapt to its environment in order to survive. And a species can be really adapted to the current market to the current environment. But the problem is that it might be on an unsustainable course. For example, it might multiply and use up too much resources from its environment, and the environment resource capacity will crash, and then the population of the species will crash. Same thing can happen to the free market. If the free market is unregulated, it can use up all its resources, and the resource availability will crash, and then the free market will crash. It's really as simple as that. It corresponds exactly to biology. So you need bodies that are looking ahead and seeing the hurdles ahead. Of course, in an animal society, you can't have that, but human beings are smarter. We can have that, and we call that a government. You need a government to oversee the free market and to regulate it. Not heavy regulating. The free market works, competition works, but you need it to set up laws that ensure the long-term sustainability of the free market. Because the free market cannot guarantee that for itself, because it will use up every available resource as fast as it can, because that's called growth. There was a study, I don't think it was a study, but there was an island off the Norwegian coast that was completely devoid of any life except lichen and moss, and people thought it was a good idea to export a reindeer herd onto this island. Um, so they could harvest the reindeer after a few years. And what they did was to take like 100 reindeer and put on this island. And of course, the reindeer thrived. You know, they live off lichen and moss, so they thrived. They multiplied in number and became, you know, thousands of reindeer on this little island. But the problem was that they were eating all the moss that they were living off. So the moss and lichen population took a terrible nosedive, and the year later, of course, the number of reindeer plummeted, and after a few years, the lichen and moss population had started to pick themselves up, but the reindeer population couldn't quite pick themselves up because they had been diminished to a number that was unsustainable. Basically, they had to import more reindeer from the mainland, because the crash in the economy and the ecology of this island was so great that the reindeer population couldn't pick itself up, because of, you know, genetic inbreeding and so on. And the same thing can happen in a free market. A free market can use up all its resources, crash its resource base, and then, you know, the free market will follow suit and crash, and it might never recover. And that's why we have a governing body to regulate the free market. This free market romanticism, the free market can do anything. It's amazing to me. If you go to Wall Street and you ask people about, you know, the long-term sustainability of the market itself, they don't give a shit. They don't care. As long as they earn their money today, that's fine. Anyway, this whole thing about disbanding the government, trusting the free market, entrepreneurship, no, guys, you got it all wrong. It's not gonna work. You need to work on your democracy and work on your state first, because as far as I'm concerned, the state is the only thing that can provide a perspective and a long-term outlook on human affairs, and who can act in a long-term interest for human beings.